All right, everyone. Welcome into another fun-filled episode of Facts Not Feelings. And I am very excited to welcome in Sarah from PCG. And for anyone that doesn't know Sarah, I don't think there's another person that I personally know that is more knowledgeable in social advertising and paid advertising. And Sarah is on the forefront of the new framework of everything paid right now. I know anytime I had a question about anything social related, advertising related, I was going straight to Sarah. She is just a fountain of knowledge when it comes to this. And like I said, there's not a single person that I know that is more knowledgeable in this area. And I am very excited to be speaking with you, Sarah, and for you generously coming on and taking some time to enlighten the rest of the world out here about what's going on in the world today. So thank you for being with us today.
Yeah, what a kind introduction, Brooke. Thank you for having me. That was it for me. I'm good now for the rest of the day.
We're done. So Sarah, tell us a little bit. I kind of said a little bit what you did, but tell us how you got into this industry, what you do at PCG, and just a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So I started working with PCG in 2018, kind of right out of college. I graduated college in 2017. So I was looking for my first-time job, full-time job. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I knew the characteristics that I wanted in a job. I wanted to be creative. I enjoy the customer service piece of any kind of job. I've worked in restaurants my entire life, so customer service is very natural to me. And when I started interviewing for different positions, one of the positions I interviewed for was junior social media specialist at PCG. And at the time, Denise was the manager of the social media team, and that's who I met with and interviewed with. And I always tell her this story, but when I sat down and interviewed with her, I was like, I want to be this woman one day. And she embodies everything that I could ever imagine being when I grow up. And when I was deciding on, when I got the offer from PCG, I was between one offer and another offer. And I was like, no, I need to learn everything that this woman knows. I need to become her in some sort of way. And that's kind of how I started working at PCG. And then I just fell in love with social media advertising. I really enjoy the automotive space. My dad actually works in the automotive space in some respects. So I've kind of grown up always listening to him on phone calls and, learning about his career. So it wasn't totally new to me, but the advertising space definitely was. So I was trained from the ground up from Denise and the other social media specialists on the team. Fast forward a few years, I became a senior social media specialist on the team. And then as of last May, I became the paid media director at PCG. So I currently oversee our social media teams and I oversee our SEM teams as well.
A couple of things there. Denise, boss babe all the way. She is such a badass. There are not enough words to describe how amazing Denise is. So The fact that you're able to sit down with her and have an interview with her, I would just be like, I'm hired. Sign me up right now. If there's an offer come my way, I'm not listening to anybody else. I'm signing on the dotted line right now. She is incredible. So I would have done the exact same thing as you.
Yeah, even before I knew PCG, before I was, submerged into this world of automotive, all I knew was I need to work under this woman and I need to learn everything I can possibly learn from her. And here I am. So a lot of that is attributed to her.
Yes, it's 100%. And if anyone has a chance to listen to Denise speak, to be around her for even a minute, have a conversation with her, take advantage of that because you will learn something from her every time she speaks. So 100% yes. So in the short time, it's been a little bit now, but in the long term of things, you've been with PCG, you've climbed that ladder and continue just to showcase your abilities and your skills of what you do. This world of paid advertising is changing every single second.
Yeah.
I mean, before we first record, we were talking just the metaverse. I mean, there's so many things that are changing. I think in even just the last couple of weeks, you posted just that, hey, this policy change with Facebook. Hey, make sure you update this. So as you are constantly educating dealers on things, what are you seeing as maybe some common mistakes, or hey, you need to focus on this that you're seeing to try to help educate dealers?
So the most common mistake that I see with dealers in terms of paid social media is that they are so focused on lead generation and the bottom of the funnel, and they don't take advantage of the fact that social media platforms, first and foremost, are meant for branding. And if you're not starting at the beginning of the funnel, you're never going to work your way down to the bottom. I actually just posted something from Bob Lanham this morning talking all about how I think the stat is 32% of car buyers now are millennials. And that's soon going to be also taking into consideration Generation Z. This group of consumers is not filling out lead forms on a website. They know they have a million different options because they're grown up in this world where you want to get a cup of coffee, there's 20 different places you can go. You want to buy that outfit, there's a million different places you can go online. And when they're looking to buy a car, that's exactly how they're looking at it. So what dealers need to be focused on, and what few are not focused on enough, is branding themselves, and branding themselves every chance they get on Facebook, on Instagram, on Snapchat, on TikTok, on Google. Every platform that they're able to express their brand voice and be relatable somehow to this new generation of car buyers is where they need to head. The old way of just making sure that they're getting all of the leads they possibly can is not the correct way to utilize social media advertising. And they always are going to fall short, and they're not going to move forward in this newfound privacy first digital climate for sure.
I think multiple things you just touched on there are very, very key that I want to reiterate. Is one, branding. And we sometimes forget the 80-20 rule, right? 80-20 rule is very, very big. And if I go on and if I'm following a page, whether it's any social platform, and I am just shoved down my throat of buy, sell, there is no way in hell that I'm going to keep following that company. And I'm not going to buy a car from you. We all know that reviews are so important. We also know, as a consumer, I'm going to your social platform to see, who are you? Do you actually have a social? Do you do anything there? What's your brand? For what do you stand? Like, what is on your platform? So branding, and there are so many ways to do this. I know that you get asked this. I know that I get asked this all the time. Well, what do I put up there? I want to make sure I'm still selling. Well, you can still sell, but in a branding way, because if you're branding yourself, you are selling you. When it comes to cars, people don't buy cars. They buy it secondly. That's the second thing that comes. They're buying a person first. They're buying the company. The car is going to come second. And I think a lot of times we forget that they buy the company and the brand first. So brand it. I think it's so insanely important that people remember the branding portion of it and how you can go about doing that. And what you can take so many different variations. It's if you have a blog out there, take that blog and brand that about who you are. There's so many different ways we can do that. And with the lead generation, I can't remember with whom I was speaking, but taking a lead, leads, it's a kind of a dirty word to me sometimes, because it's not necessarily a lead, it's a contact. And taking that lead, and we go with AII and talk about that a little bit, because once again, it's not a lead. And stop thinking of Facebook as lead generation. It drives me crazy. Oh, my Facebook's not working, I'm not getting enough leads. It's not a lead. Stop thinking Facebook is a lead, because you're going to be disappointed every time you think of it that way.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of leads and generating them, whether you're on Google or you're on Facebook, like I mentioned, the primary focus needs to be that you're expressing your brand voice, you're showcasing who that person that's coming into your dealership, who they're going to work with, who's your sales team, who's your service team, who's going to greet me when I walk in the door, what do they look like, what do they sound like? These are the things that you need to use to be branding yourself. In terms of AIA and lead generation advertising, yes, it's important, but it's part of a bigger picture. So, we were talking about before about where dealers are failing on platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Google. Another thing I actually just posted this morning was that dealers are so focused on this 30-day period of sales. So we have reporting every 30 days. They're looking to change strategy every 30 days. And I wish I could tattoo this to my forehead that this is a marathon and not a sprint. And if something isn't necessarily working how it should be working in 30 days, yes, you make those slight adjustments in terms of ad copy and graphics. and maybe audiences, but you don't take something and just throw it away and start something brand new, because you're starting the cycle all over again. And the car buying process is not a 30-day process. If somebody's just thinking today that I am going to, purchase a car, like for example, I bought my car a few years ago, and I've been thinking about for 6 months that I'm going to buy a new car. I'm probably not going to buy that car for another 6 months.
Yep.
So we really need to think about the buyer's journey, and it's not 30 days. This isn't buying a pair of shoes. This is, people say this is the second largest purchase that an adult will make in their lives. They're not making it in 30 days. So why is our advertising reflecting 30-day increments? It's just silly.
And it's funny you bring that up. Michael Stewart and I were talking recently, and he and I were discussing how we're really backwards in the auto industry when it comes to advertising, because we are on that 30-day cycle. All incentives come out. We have, if it comes out, it's on the 5th, we don't get incentives. If we don't get incentives to the 5th, by the time we actually get into our ad agency, maybe the 10th, assuming there's not a weekend, they don't get declined by Insera or whatever other compliance we're using, and that they're all done correctly. We don't have to send them back to the dealership. The problem is that Google, Facebook, everything else is not on a 30-day cycle. Additionally, I think it was Cox Automotive came out with a study that we're back in the consumer journey, the buying journey is on a 90-day cycle. Mm-hmm. So let's think about that for a second. You as an advertiser, you're supposed to do this in less than 30 days. How is that possible when the consumer is looking, hey, it's 90 days, and the ad is changing in that 90-day cycle 3 times? So what confidence do I have in the dealer that, so your ad last month was $299, and now it's 0%. Now it's 1.9%. Oh, now it's $259. What the hell is the price? I'm so confused. And then every time, are you deleting the ad, or are you just importing it, put it back in there? So there's so many things that go into this, and I understand that we don't have a lot of say to an extent, because hey, this is what the manufacturers are doing. This is what we're told we have to do. And that's why it's so insanely vital that you have to have an evergreen campaign. You've got to have at least one that's constantly going. Very, very vital, because the other ones that just keep going in and over and over, we're changing them out every 30 days. You're confusing the hell out of your consumer, and you're not having a lot of confidence in them, or they're not having a lot of confidence in you, because that one thing goes back to what we said earlier: branding, 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 and branding again. Very, very important.
Yep.
I didn't take the wind out of that.
Yeah, no, definitely branding. And then too, making sure that we have organic presences on things like Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat and TikTok. And, God knows what the new the new social platform will be in a year from now. But a lot of dealers too, they think, okay, well, we have the paid stuff down. I'm running AIA, I have a branding campaign up. And then they post on Facebook, or, they don't even know what TikTok is, or they're not even active on Snapchat. And they think, that's all that is needed. And what they're forgetting is the dealer down the street is posting a TikTok every single day, and posting on Facebook every other day, and posting Instagrams of their, clients and their employees, and having testimonials and everything. And they're falling short. You really have to look at your competition organically, and making sure that what your competition is posting, you need to be either at that level or, way ahead of the curve, or else you're going to fall flat. Organic is a really crucial piece, that a lot of dealers seem to be missing.
And to couple on top of that, it's not just posting organically, it's answering, because you as an ad agency, it's a partnership. If the dealership is not answering the comments, is not following up on whatever comments out there and posting, you as a ad agency, how are you supposed to fulfill your end of the bargain and go towards that common goal if you just say, you know what, you do what you're going to do, and we're just going to wash our hands and not follow up with anything that's ever said on any of the comments, because you're hanging out the ad agency to dry. Going back to it as a partnership, and you've got to, as a dealership, hold up your end of the bargain, or you're leaving the ad agency out to dry. So it's really, really important that you hold up your end of the bargain on that one.
Yeah,
Really
definitely.
important.
Responding to reviews. I mean, that's what we've been pushing since I started at PCG in 2018 is responding to reviews, but now more than ever, it's responding to those messages on Facebook Messenger. A lot of dealers are incorporating AI to marketplace. That's what we push at PCG. That's what, I would always recommend staying on the platform. But what's considered an on Facebook lead is somebody who messages you. And a lot of the time, what happens is the chat provider is integrated with that Facebook Messenger platform, but things are missed. Like I'll go into a messenger, the messenger in the inbox for a dealer, and there'll be things that are not answered. I mean, like, hey, do you have this vehicle? Hey, I'm looking to service my appointment. Not answered, not answered, not answered. And you go to the dealer and they say, well, I have nobody in house to do this. Well, why? You're missing,
Right.
I mean, you're missing so much valuable contacts or leads or whatever you want to call them. Or, I mean, you could schedule things right there. You can have somebody come in, you can showcase your inventory. I mean, people want to talk to people. And like we talked about earlier, people are buying from people.
Mhm.
So if you are not even answering them on these messenger platforms, they're one, not going to shop with you, and they're going to tell their friends, don't go there. They didn't
No.
even message me back on Instagram, or they didn't even message me back on Facebook. That's also super, super important.
And to go, in addition to that, I know you and I have had this conversation where I will get a little heated and I'm going to tone it down a little bit here. Is that when you're researching a topic of, hey, or which chat provider, and there are a lot of good chat providers out there. I'm not here to pitch anyone. All I'm saying is research your chat provider for multiple reasons. One, Google Analytics. Do they integrate with everything? Number one. Number two, what capabilities do they have? And number three, because we are talking about Facebook Messenger, Facebook Marketplace, not all chat providers are created equally for multiple reasons. You will find that chat provider A will tell you that, hey, we do all of that. They are lying and they are call bullshit on them and figure out, do you really do this? And even if they are awesome and they do a great job, you're going to have to handhold them and watch them like a hawk to make sure everything is set up correctly. Because they may say that, yeah, we 100% integrate into Messenger. Great. What about Marketplace?
Mhm.
Well, yeah, we do. But then you find out that they actually don't. So you've got to make sure that everything is set up correctly. They actually do what they say they're going to do, and then inspect what you expect. Because too often I have seen it time and time again with multiple providers. They say they can do something they can't. There are a lot of very good companies that can. And then additionally, on top of all of that, find out, okay, if we want to put our chat provider on a third party, is that going to be extra? Because you don't want to find out oh, wait, there's an additional charge on top of that. So find all this stuff out. Is it a la carte? Is everything like a buffet and we pay one charge for everything? You don't want to be hit with extra charges. Chat is so insanely viable. We all live off this thing right here. People aren't filling out leads. People hate leads. They hate filling out forms. We all know this. We're not going to get into it. We know that people would rather send in a text message. That's the same thing as a chat, right? We want to do that. So if you don't have a good chat provider and it doesn't integrate, or you're not getting notified when that chat comes in, or it doesn't come in at all, that is a massive, massive problem. So I will get off my soapbox. Just for the love of all that's holy, make sure your chat provider is a quality chat provider and is sending in the correct information and you can track it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm done. I hand it back to you, Sarah.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I think the stat is something like 62% of car buyers right now would prefer to send a message rather than pick up the phone. So going back to what I said earlier about, 32% of the car buying market now is now millennials and Generation Z is going to catch up. I'm 1995, so some people call me a millennial and some people call me Generation Z, but regardless, none of my friends pick up the phone and call anybody. I don't call anybody. But I'm constantly texting, I'm constantly messaging. My sister's 17, so she's definitely Generation Z. And what her and all of her friends do is they don't even text. They text each other on Snapchat.
Yes.
So I'm not texting Sage, my sister, on Snapchat. I'm not even getting a response. So we need to think about where these buyers are. they're not filling out lead forms. Lead forms are such a taboo thing. If I were to go, when I go shop for a car in a few months, I am not filling out a lead form because guess what? I do not want a million phone calls. I do not want a million emails. I'm not keeping up with the emails. Usually the email is my junk email, so I don't even know the password. Like it's just ridiculous. You need to meet the shoppers where they are.
It's so true. And you hit the nail on the head right there, is meeting the customer exactly where they are at the right time, at the right place, with the right message. We've all seen the little, if it's Instagram and I'm eating a donut, it's a picture of a donut. If it's Facebook versus LinkedIn, having the right message and the right medium is so insanely vital. And stop thinking it, oh, I need more leads. No, you don't need more leads. You need more quality contacts with your customer and potential sold customer. Very, 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 very vital. I want to transition a little bit here to the new framework. You have worked your freaking ass off with the new framework. And I just going to give you a round of applause here real quickly, because I know you've worked so hard with this new framework. For those that are unfamiliar with, Brooke is talking about a framework. Did she put up a house? What is she talking about? Talk to a little about what the hell I'm talking about right now.
Sure. So we realized a few months ago, and this really is all thanks to Brian Pash. He released a research report a few months ago that basically said that we, as an industry, are sending the wrong signals to Google, and therefore we are not receiving the right results. So what had happened in years prior, up really until 6 or 7 months ago, is that everybody was executing Google ads totally differently, including PCG, including BPE. Like everybody was just doing a free for all on Google because Google was this taboo thing where nobody really understood it except those specialists. And, we didn't know what we were doing. We were just trying our best, right? So everybody was executing Google ads not the correct way. And then we were measuring Google ads in not the correct way because we were sending the wrong signals. So we weren't getting the right results. So long story short is his research report pretty much stated that we need to be sending the right results or the right signals to Google in order to get the results that we are truly looking for, whether we are looking for sales results or service results. So in a nutshell, what this new framework entails is you have 2 Google Analytics views, one for sales, one for service. Each of these Google Analytics views have hard and soft conversions for sales and for service. They're separate because they're 2 separate strategies. Then in Google Ads, you have 2 separate accounts. You have a sales account and you have a service account. You're importing your sales view into your sales account and your service view into your service account. Therefore, you're feeding Google the right signals to optimize your campaigns better in Google Ads, right? So now Google knows what a chat is for sales, and now Google knows what a phone call is for service. You're importing these goals to tell Google this is exactly what we want. The hard and the soft conversions they pretty much come in terms of how we're bidding on these campaigns in Google Ads. So this new framework utilizes a value-based bidding approach where we are telling Google and putting a number behind them, basically saying, okay, the chat and the phone call, which is a hard conversion, carries more weight. We really want those. These are things we really want out of our Google Ads. So this is going to be, every dealer is different, but this is going to weigh at 100. Say 100's the most. So this is going to weigh at 100. Whereas a soft conversion, like maybe they're flipping through the photos on a VDP or they're viewing the window sticker. We definitely want that because we want to see, where the consumer is and what they're checking out. But that's a soft conversion. That doesn't carry as much weight as a phone call or a chat. So essentially, the whole idea behind the new framework is that we are sending the right signals to Google and therefore we are getting the right results, and really making sure that we're separating sales and service, because what used to happen is we would combine them all. There'd be one view and there'd be, some goals, and some were for sales and some were for service, but we were really kind of throwing spaghetti at a wall and seeing what stuck. And then we weren't really able to say, okay, this is the budget that we're putting behind for sales, and this is the marketing budget for service, because it was all intermingled into one account.
Yes. And there's been so much work with you, with Brian, with the team to make this happen. And the ripple effect of this has been ginormous. You have the players in our field that have stepped up and said, you know what, we're on board. We're going to change. I'm going to shout out to CarNow right now, but not just CarNow. There's multiple other players that have said, hey, we're going to step up. We're going to change our Google Analytics as well to be more in line with what we're with this framework. That we did a pretty good job, but we need to step up as well. And so you've seen this ripple effect of, hey, this needs to change, this needs to change, and this needs to change. And to kind of go along with what you're saying is that it wasn't that we were doing a bad job. It's just we didn't know any better. Right. So if you're following Brian Pash and his method, you'd have your hard and soft conversions beforehand, but it would send any traffic. It would say, oh, they viewed a VDP. Well, what VDP was it? And if it was a used VDP, do you really want a service customer does that really matter? So you had this traffic going there and you really couldn't distinguish between the two of them. And now you really know this is a sales customer. This is what they're doing. It's a hard and soft conversion. This is a service customer. This is what they're doing. Car Wars now came into play, and Car Wars now is doing a phenomenal job with this of saying, okay, we're going to now have our numbers, and this is a service customer. This is a sales customer. This is a parts customer, and just diving into it even more into it to know where exactly is the money being spent, and just pulling back that curtain even more and using Brian's words, and I'm going to mangle them right now, but continually feeding that to Google, and Google will give us more back, and it just makes it even better.
Right, exactly. And what I love about this new framework and the approach that, Brian took with it and ultimately PCG took with it is that we could have just taken this and said, this is PCG's ways of doing things, and we're going to make sure that we're getting you the right conversions. But we didn't do that. This is a framework for the industry, because if us as an industry, the way that we do things has to be so specific, right? We take Facebook ads and the way that, we run Instagram ads and Google ads, and we're like, okay, well, now we have to make this cater to automotive because everything is so centric to e-commerce when it first comes out. And what this new framework allows us to do as an industry is move forward. So, we're using it. CarNow is using it. Well, hey, CarNow, what are you seeing? What are the results? Are there things that we need to change or tweak? How are we moving forward? What is the data telling us? The more people that are utilizing frameworks like this and the more people that are executing Google Ads the same way will allow us as an industry to move forward in our digital space. And I think that is what is most important. It's not so much as the competitiveness of the framework, but allowing us to come together and examine the data. And we do that at conferences like at DMSC and, AAS, in the fall. And I just think that's, the most special and important part of it all.
Yeah, it's been really, really, really quite amazing to see everyone come together with this. It's been such a huge undertaking, and everyone that is really rowing the boat in the same direction it's just been great to see everyone come together. So we've got Facebook, you have this new framework. What would you say, what's this paid search world? Where else do you see this going? What else is on the horizon in your mind?
Yeah, so TikTok is the next thing that automotive dealers, if they're not already organically on TikTok, that should be on their radar for, the end of Q1, the beginning of Q2 for sure. PCG just released a webinar about how to create organic TikTok strategies. It received a lot of positive feedback from the industry, which I love because that means people are willing to learn another platform and a new platform. And I think what's really important for us as agencies to educate dealers on is organic, because now, dealers know that when you're working with an agency, they have the paid covered. They're educating themselves to make sure they're totally up to date. We have a team that's executing it, but now more than ever, the organic is happening in-house. So what we're seeing is a lot of marketing coordinators and, marketing directors of dealers in-house that need to learn all of these new platforms like Snapchat and TikTok to make sure that they're staying up to speed. And like we mentioned earlier, just really meeting these new car buyers where they are. They're on TikTok. I mean, TikTok consumes so much of my day, and I really hate to admit that. But even I talk to my social team all the time, and we're like, oh my gosh, like we are on the craziest algorithms. Like it's crazy, but that's where I am all of the time. So if a car buyer were to be advertising to me, or a car dealership were to be advertising to me on that platform, I'd be like, they really got it going on. Like they really know what's up. Like I would love to go and like look at them further. And then I'd probably go to their Facebook and their Instagram. And that's what's going to start to happen, is it's going to be, where are we finding them first? And then where are they going? They're probably going to be found on TikTok. So take, for example, Generation Z. They're probably going to be found on TikTok first if you're, pushing towards them on that platform. Then they're probably going to go to Instagram because that's the next best thing. Then if they even have a Facebook, they're probably going to go to Facebook. And then they're going to go to your website. So the car buying experience and the journey is just so different than it was a few years ago. And there's so many different stops that the car buyer is taking before they get to a website or before they're ready to shop, that we really need to take that into consideration when we're creating our marketing plans in 2022.
Okay, so you're on TikTok a fair amount, we'll say. So who's someone that you like to follow or account you like to follow?
I like to follow things that, make me feel good and are nice. So like, you know, a lot of it is like cooking or new restaurants or, um, a lot of it's like art. I'm really into art. So that kind of thing. I try to get on algorithms that are like nice and peaceful. They're not like, these crazy videos that some people post. I like to go on TikTok to just like disengage for 5 minutes. That, sometimes becomes an hour, but who's counting?
It happens.
And it's so easy to get on algorithms just based on what you're looking at. So if you're watching a video, even 50% of the video, all of a sudden, all of your videos are, that type of video. So making sure that it's really important if you're utilizing the TikTok platform that you're pushing so much content out because there's so much content circulating. So I think what we're even going to see moving forward in the next year or two, if dealers don't already have this, is just a content creator at the dealership. I mean, who's taking the photos? Who is uploading these photos? Who's creating these TikToks? Who's posting on Snapchat? Like, who is doing that at the dealership? It can't be your agency. They're not, at the dealership. They could be states and states away. So I think that's another thing that's going to start to happen as we move forward for sure.
And also with TikTok, and I will be the first to say, I need to get into TikTok. I know I am not. I'm in the upper echelon. I'm like, okay,
proceed with caution.
Yeah, it's like and like all my nieces and nephews, it's you text and you're like, I may get a response back, but the same thing. They're young. They're much younger, and so you've got a conversation. You're either got a Snapchat, like you said, or TikTok. I'm like, oh my goodness, I just respond back to me. But yes, I've got to get into that. But having TikTok is the only social platform out there that isn't owned by Facebook. It's its own entity, and any person at any point can become viral and overnight. And I think that for many reasons it separates itself. You see Instagram that you've got the reels and your Facebook stories that are trying to mimic TikTok, but I don't know that anything will ever. And I won't say never because anything's possible. But at this point, nothing really rivals TikTok at this point at where we are right now on this date and this time. Nothing rivals TikTok. And so
I would agree with that.
Like I said, it's anybody's game. Anybody can overnight become a sensation. And all of a sudden, like you see the TikTok, if you still have TV, which a lot of people don't, but I don't know if they're on streaming TV. We still have TV, one of the few people that still do. But you see TikTok commercials now where it's talking about TikTok. And so it really has set a whole new precedent of what social media is. And if you are going to get meeting the person at the right place, the right time, and the right medium, you need to be on TikTok. And PCG has done a phenomenal job. I don't know, I'm sure I won't say sure that, to my knowledge, PCG right now is the only one putting out a playbook to dealers on how to do it, because it is kind of daunting in an industry where there's a very slow to change a lot of times, to be like, okay, this is how you do it, baby steps, here's how you do it. It very, very beneficial. So if you haven't seen the playbook, I'll make sure to drop that in the link here, so you guys can, and everyone can be a part of that, and go back and rewatch it. Please go back and rewatch it. Very, very beneficial.
The most important part about being on TikTok for a dealer is, PCG is now testing TikTok advertising for automotive and for our clients. But what we're advising first and foremost is it's not like Facebook and Instagram where you can kind of create your Facebook business page and your Instagram business page, and then all of a sudden you can advertise. If you don't have a consistent organic strategy, those ads are not going to circulate on TikTok like they would on Facebook and Instagram. So the first thing that you have to do is take a month or two and generate as much content as you possibly can and create it in ways that is going to be engaging, using the sounds that are going viral and the sounds that are trending, and just all of the things that you could be doing to make sure that you're getting it pushed out as much as possible and getting the most views and the most likes and the most comments. But you have to do that before you can even consider advertising on the platform. That is first and foremost, which is why before we even decided to do the advertising part of it, we were like, let's make sure dealers are educated on how to organically present themselves on the platform.
So I don't know if you can answer this. If you can, you can. If you can't, you can't. Are you saying that in the future that may be a package option with PCG, with the social portion to help dealers advertise?
It would never be like we would never create the content because we're not there.
No.
So it's best utilized if you're doing it in-house and you have somebody advising you along the way, like, hey, what kind of content should we be creating? Absolutely reach out to your social partner or who's ever helping you with social media, but that 100% needs to be done in-house.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah.
And in general, making sure that everyone knows you would never create the content at all. I mean, you guys are paid everything. So yeah, make sure everyone knows that. Awesome. And I just have another question here. What would you say dealers can do to set themselves up for success when it comes to social, paid search? We've talked a lot about, but like, what would be like a nugget you would say of all the stuff we talked about? Just a couple of nuggets of setting themselves up for success in all the stuff we've talked about.
I would say the biggest thing dealers can do to set themselves up for success is taking everything new and rolling with it. So for example, when, automotive inventory advertising has been such a big thing in the social media space for Facebook and Instagram for years. And then iOS 14 happened last spring, and we were like, okay, we're losing all of this tracking data. We can't measure what's happening on the website. We're pushing thousands of people to the website, and then we don't know what the heck they're doing once they get there. And Facebook responded to that pretty much immediately and created AI at a marketplace where the user is spending their time and staying on the Facebook platform. Some dealers were so hesitant to do that for the reasons that we talked about earlier, where I don't have somebody to answer these messages. What if they don't get into the CRM? And they're very hesitant, and then they lose months and months waiting for more data to populate, of using a strategy that's not working as well as what we presented to you. So I think my best advice to dealers is to just not be afraid to try something new and to trust your partner and to realize that something new, like the rate that we're going on social media advertising and Google advertising it's changing second by second, like you mentioned in the beginning. Like everything is changing so quickly. So you have to be able to adapt. And if you're not being willing to adapt and educate yourself and listen to what, specialists and professionals are recommending you do for success, then you're going to fall short.
Amen to that. Amen. Sarah, thank you so much for being on today. It has been awesome speaking with you. We do have a few lightning round questions for anyone that comes on the show. So the question is, are you ready for these? Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Let's do it. All right. Outside of work and outside of TikTok, maybe, what are your favorite things to do outside of work? Which are some of your favorite hobbies?
In the summer, I go to the beach as much as I can. I am a Jersey Shore girl at heart. I love trying out new restaurants. Like I mentioned, I've been in the restaurant industry for almost 11 years, so a big chunk of my life. So trying out new restaurants and really just hanging out with friends. But I'm realizing as I get older that I love spending time by myself. So that's a big
beautiful thing
for me. Yeah, like tonight I'm like, I am doing nothing and I am just so excited.
I just have a nice bottle of wine, sit and do nothing. Yeah, it's a glorious thing. What's your favorite type of food?
I love Asian cuisine, Thai food. I love Japanese food, Chinese food. Even though I'm Italian, and my great grandmothers are probably rolling in their graves saying when I'm saying this, my Sicilian grandmothers, Jesus, but I love all of that kind of food.
I am a very much love about any type of food. There's very few foods I will not eat. I'm very much the same way that way. So I love it. Favorite vacation spot? You have anywhere you can go? It can be a one-way ticket. You're not coming back, or a round trip ticket. Where are you going?
I'm going to Key West. I can't wait to retire there one day. I am going, if it's not underwater by then, that's where I will be.
Just grab a snorkel, grab some scuba gear, you'll be good to go.
Would. I love Key West. I love the sun and the sand and the people, and it's so laid back, and it's just like an oasis to me. I love it.
Oh, that's fantastic. Very, very nice. All right. So you in PCG, you all are disruptors in the industry, and I love that about you all. So what is something that you have learned, maybe a hard lesson or something that you can take away by being a disruptor in the industry?
I would say to just take every opportunity that is presented to you and to not be afraid of change. And that's something that I work on every day behind the scenes where, Brian Pash is known for taking an idea and making an inch and making it a mile and making it so successful. But when things are brand new, they can be scary. And you're like, well, wait, you're calculating every risk and and Brian and Denise and Glenn too have really just taught me like, take it and run with it and make it as successful as you can. And that's something that I try to do every day.
That's fantastic. What are some common or the most common ideas or issues that you commonly have to dispel between facts and feelings in your job?
Oh, geez. Facts and feelings in my job. I guess just really, it's to be honest, like how things work, like how Facebook works and how Google works. Like, I think sometimes dealers have this impression of, what results are supposed to be that just isn't true. And sometimes I want to be like, who told you that? Like I want to go to that person that told you that and be like, you are wrong, sir. And you are really spreading some lies out there. Like that is not true. Like people be like, oh, but I thought I had a post like this, or I thought, we were supposed to be getting these conversions, or I thought the budget was supposed to be this. And I'm like, who told you that though? Like, I didn't tell you that. Like, so really, I guess they feel like that, or that's just what came up in their minds. I don't know, but that's what I would say.
That's a very good one. And I would always, same thing. I'm like, can we please track down the source, whoever is spreading this lie,
right?
And I don't know, stab them in the cornea with a dull spoon. I don't know, something, because stop spreading these lies, please.
Right.
Yes. All right. So we are now into Women's Month. And so being a woman and a female in a very male-dominated industry, what is some advice that you would give for a female that is starting out in this industry?
I've been surrounded by such strong women my whole life, growing up and then in my professional life as well. So I guess my biggest piece of advice would just be kind of what I said before, is take every single opportunity and don't ever think or feel like you can't accomplish what maybe a male counterpart in the industry is doing. Everybody is equal and you can accomplish anything that you want to accomplish, and you can absolutely go anywhere and make your career what you want it to be. And just just make sure that you are taking, like I said, every single opportunity. And I really attribute much of my success so far in my career to just every single thing that I have ever thought, even if it scared the living hell out of me, I was like, I have to do it. If that scares me, then that's probably something that's going to help me grow. And I really try to take every opportunity that I'm like, that is so far out of my comfort zone. I may start crying, and I've never, ever regretted it. So that would be my number one thing. I think growth really grows at the corner and the edge of your comfort zone. And that could be something that you hold on to your entire career, because there's always going to be opportunities that you're scared of. And those are the ones that you should really tackle.
100%. It's when you push yourself outside that comfort zone is when you are growing. If you continually stay in the comfort, you're never going to grow. So that is very wise advice. And I 100% agree with you. All right, we'll end on one that's not so deep. What's your favorite car?
Oh, geez, my favorite car. I think a Volvo. I love Volvos. Ooh. I'm thinking about getting a Volvo X90 as my next car.
Ooh, nice. Okay, fantastic. Well, Sarah, once again, thank you so much for being a part of this. This has been such a pleasure talking to you, catching up, and spreading the knowledge, dude. This has been awesome.
Spreading the knowledge, spreading the love.
This has been awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it.
You are so welcome. Everyone, have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for tuning in. When you see someone out there that's in need, lend a helping hand. Be kind to people. There are so many people out there that need a helping hand. So thank you. If you are liking what you see, subscribe, Make sure to tune in next week. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.